We'd like to welcome all of you to the March 7th council meeting of 2013. Tonight, we're very honored to have newly elected State Representative Julie Stokes to come up, and she and her family will say the invocation and the pledge. Welcome, Ms. Stokes, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. If we could bow our heads in a moment of prayer. Lord God, we come to you tonight with great thanksgiving for our beautiful community and for all of those who serve it, both those in the front here and those that serve it in our community in the rows behind. Lord, we as a people have great hope for tomorrow, Lord, for our state, for the greater New Orleans area, for our parish of Jefferson, and Lord God, for the city of Kenner. Please bless the people that are here tonight, that the administration, all the city council members, Lord God, can work together and have a spirit of teamwork and take part in the rebuilding and the re-identification of the city of Kenner, and just have that city rise from the ashes, Lord God, and be in great favor in your sight. Lord God, we ask this through your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
The pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would please stay up at the podium for a minute. I think we have some councilmen who may want to address you. I'd like to say that it's an honor to have you elected as the new District 79 state representative. I feel that you will do a great job for our city, and we look forward to working with you in the future. So congratulations to you and your family, because I know it's not just you, your whole family. And as I told your kids, your children, I said, you know what? I think you need to talk to your mother after that hard-fought campaign and say, where are we going now, Mom? Disney World.
Right.
So they wholeheartedly agreed with that, by the way. So we have some other councilmen who would like to speak with you. Councilwoman Brannigan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Representative, welcome this evening. We are all, well, not all, but most of us up here who were with you were tickled to death, not only the night of the election, but the fact that you even wanted to run. We all know how difficult it is to put yourself out there, but we are just, I've known Representative Stokes, aka Julie, for so many years because of her involvement in the community. And you know, when you serve for a long time and people keep asking you, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? Always in the back of your mind, you're hoping that there's somebody else out there that has that passion and that fire in their belly, because you want to know that when you do put your head to rest, that there's people out there who are going to be as passionate about the city and the issues and the people. And I know that that's in you, and always has been through your other leadership positions. And the other thing about Julie is that she's never had to be the chief. She was a heck of an Indian, but I know that and at other times you were the chief and the leader. And I know that you know, we are so fortunate that you have chosen public life, because I know you will represent us well. And the fact that you happen to be from Kenner, of course, for us just means an awful lot as well. So very proud of you. We're very honored that you are representing us, and we look forward to many years of watching your career and your path and great things that I know are to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brannigan. Councilman Stagney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Stokes drew great support from the citizens of Kenner and from this body up here. It's not often you get a candidate with the civic, business, church, and education level that Ms. Stokes has. As Councilwoman Brannigan says, not many people offer themselves up. We are so proud and so glad that you offered yourself up. And even more importantly, behind every great candidate and a great victory is a great family. And I'd like Larry and her two beautiful children to stand up so everybody can see and give them a round of applause because it's a campaign for all of them. And if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Stokes may be only the second CPA elected to the state legislature
That's
in
right.
this term. So at a time when dollars and cents are worth so much and mean so much to the lives of everyone, we have somebody there who's used to those numbers. Congratulations, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Denopoulos, 3 minutes.
3 minutes, thank you. I don't know if I can take that short of a period of time, especially when you give me the mic. Julie, wonderful campaign. I was just glad to see you and your family, how they were involved in this campaign. And once again, like you said, this is a fiscal year up at Baton Rouge, and we're sending a CPA who knows how to crunch the numbers up there. And how many women right now serve at the state legislature?
Like 15, and from the greater New Orleans area, 1, now 2.
1, now 2. So it's great to have, at least a mix of base that's representing the public. And once again, I know you as a friend, and I know the type of job that you're going to do for our district. I know my district supported you very, very well in this election, and so did all of Kenner, for that matter. And they've seen what you did in the past, and they've given you a grade, and that grade is an A+. And we want you to continue that up in Baton Rouge. And I'm just looking forward to working with you in the programs and the grants that we can get for our city and our district. And once again, to Larry and everybody and the family, now you get Julie back for just a short period of time, okay? Because when do you have to report to Baton Rouge?
Every day, it seems, but April 8th.
April 8th. So it's not that far away. And congratulations, Julie.
Thank you, Kent.
Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Stokes, I happen to be the only council person that have never met you, but congratulations to you and your family. I look forward to working with you as much as I can. Obviously, Representative Wilmot is the representative for the people South Kenner and District 1 area, but I had a fantastic relationship with Mr. Leegee, and I look forward to having the same relationship because when it comes down to it, the delegation for Jefferson is for all of Jefferson, and all of you guys and ladies work together, and we look forward to that relationship. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Councilman Rayno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just got to say what Audrey said. Woohoo, Miss Julie won. That's awesome. It was a great job you did, and we're all looking forward to working with you. So God bless you.
Thank you.
And Councilwoman DeFrancis, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. Again, Julie, when I called you to congratulate you, I told you if there was anything I could do to help, I'm here for you, and I'm more than happy to work on anything and every issue and do what little I can. I know you're going to be great at what you do because you're committed to the people of this district. And most of all, it's not about personal agenda with you, and I've learned that over the years, and it is about representing people. So that's what's most important, and I know you're going to work hard to make sure that happens. So congratulations, and I congratulated your family earlier, your husband, because again, it takes the whole family to support you when you put yourself out there to be elected to any office. So congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here tonight. We're honored, and good luck.
I appreciate it. Thank all of you, especially there are certain of you that worked really hard to help me to get elected, and I really appreciate that, and I look forward to working with all of you and everybody that's here. This is the beginning of a conversation about where we want Louisiana to head, and the beginning of a conversation about Jefferson Parish and Kenner, and we'll all work together to make the best happen here. I really believe that we're on our way up. So,
well, in a year or so, we'll invite all of the Kenner delegation up to review what's been accomplished during the year, so you can come back and give us an update.
Fair enough. Sounds good.
Thank you. Council Clerk.
Yes, ma'am. You have a quorum this evening. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers, beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Madam Chairman, this evening we received a request to change the order of business to take item 18A at the beginning of the meeting.
Did you have to amend the agenda before that, or do you wish to do that afterwards?
We could do it after.
Okay.
We'll do this one first.
Item 18A,
Change order of business, please.
motion by Councilman Brannigan, second by Councilman Black to change the order of business. Please vote.
Councilman DeFrances, please. I just need you to vote to change the order of business. That's okay. That's all right. One more vote, please. Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to change the order of business. Item 18A, at the request of the administration, a presentation and discussion by Mr. David Heigl from FEMA Region 6 and Ms. Cindy O'Neill from the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development regarding our new flood insurance rate maps to be adopted in the near future.
Thank you. Ms. Shaw?
Yes, Council, thank you. We've invited Mr. David Heigl from FEMA Region 6 to come and speak to us. We've been hearing about these new maps for so long, I don't think we thought they were coming. Kenner is one of the few committees that have had this presentation. Jefferson Parish had it last week, so we're honored to have him come and speak to us directly as to our responsibilities as adopting the new maps as well as the time frame for the new maps. So we have Mr. David Heigl. Thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for your time here. I'm from the FEMA Region 6 office in Denton, Texas, and at that office we see a high priority. It's very important, all the matters of the National Flood Insurance Program. So I and my colleagues, including our regional administrator, Tony Robinson, really appreciate your time for this presentation. And likewise, Ms. Cindy O'Neill, sitting just back here, she is the state coordinator for the National Flood Insurance Program. She is an employee of Louisiana DOTD. And speaking on her behalf, she and I both really appreciate all the support that the council and the city administration give to Ms. Shaw and her crew as they administer the local aspects of the flood insurance program. It is not an easy matter. It's a rather complex program. For something so simple as identify the flood risk and require properties to be built elevated to that flood risk and then provide flood insurance, take those three little statements and turn it into a quite complex program, of which right now 2 very important issues are coming together coincidentally. One issue is the more local item of revision of the flood insurance rate maps, which is what part of my presentation is about. And the other issue is on the national level of implementation of the Biggert Waters Flood Insurance Reform Act. So, which is changing a lot of the rules about rating flood insurance policies. So those 2 things are combining, if you will, for a double whammy for lots of communities, actually across the country. So we have a short slideshow presentation. If we could advance it one more, please. Okay. This slide gives us a brief history of the flood map situation in Kenner and in Jefferson Parish in general, referring importantly to the fact that the currently effective flood maps, by effective I mean those are the maps which are used for the rating of policies, and also the maps used by the banks to decide about requiring flood insurance. The effective
Until we correct that, or has it been corrected? The system is starting up again, so evidently whatever happened is coming back up. And we're now back. So as you were saying, can you get a little closer to the mic? Let me check.
Testing? Okay, thank you. Okay, as I was mentioning, the effective flood insurance rate map, or FIRM, is dated 1995. And by effective, that means used for policy rating. And that, as I understand, is also the map which the city has adopted and uses for floodplain management permits. FEMA several years ago started an entire analysis of the coastal surge flooding risk across the entire Gulf of Mexico. So we're now in process of updating and revising the flood maps through that entire area, across Louisiana and including across Texas. And in 2008, we published preliminary flood maps, proposed base flood elevations, proposed zones, to start the due process to receive feedback and make corrections and such. In the Metro New Orleans area, it was decided by the powers that be to put a hold on those maps as the levee system, the Hurricane Storm Surge Risk Reduction Levee System being worked on by the Corps of Engineers, was being improved. We have received formal notification from the Corps that that system is now essentially complete and provides the protection from the 1% annual chance storm, often called the 100-year storm, protection from the surge, and that the entire system is in good shape, including the pumps and all that. It's quite an involved system. So once we got that notice from the Corps, we then in turn revised certain panels of the preliminary flood insurance rate map. We revised those panels which were inside of the HSDRA levee system. And then the next step, we got back to the regular process, which if we could advance the slide, please. Okay, in that scenario there, it's showing the 5 parishes, and towards the top, the area that's in the, I guess, pink color there outlines the regions of the Hurricane Protection Levee System. Those are the areas that in November of 2012, we revised those areas. We did that using information from the Corps of Engineers, from the local communities, local drainage boards, et cetera. The next steps will be, if we could advance it, please. Oh, and please note that flood maps take into account a multitude of items of input, technical data. The rainfall analysis, the storm surge analysis, interior drainage, pumping, all of that goes into the models. Next, please. To include, Jefferson Parish provided quite a bit of technical information, and quite possibly Kenner also. I'd have to check with my engineering colleagues. Next, please. The flood maps themselves, both old and proposed new flood maps, the preliminary maps, are available on our website of riskmap6.com. So we're encouraging all parties to please look at that website, check what the changes in the flood zones are proposed to be. And we're also asking that all parties attend, and well, actually there are going to be 2 open houses here in Jefferson Parish on March 19th and 20th, one on the East Bank, one on the West Bank. And sorry, I don't have the addresses of where they'll be, but they'll be from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m.
The 19th and 20th of what month, please?
March.
Okay.
March 19th and 20th. And it'll be each day from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. We'll have staff there to look at this website. When individuals come in, look up their specific address, look on the old map information, look at the proposed map information, and help those individuals sort out, in turn, what it will mean for their flood insurance policy rating. Next, please. For the due process that we must go through for this remapping process, this slide speaks to that. We expect in April we will have our official public notices in the local newspaper of record and also in the Federal Register. It's sent up to them right now. So it should come out in April that we'll have the public notices, 2 of them in the newspaper. After the second one, we'll start a 90-day appeal period. During that time, all parties are welcome to submit technical data if they think there are errors on the map. Comments about things like corrections for street names we can handle real easy, but appeals refer to scientific or technical data. And it's very important that all appeals be submitted within that 90-day period. It's a period set by law, and if a community or individual does not have their entire engineering package prepared, send it in anyway, please. Get it into our office within that 90 days, and we'll put it in the log, in the docket, and then our engineering officers and the local engineers can talk back and forth after the fact to work out all the details. The 90 days is really important. So the next step after that will be the appeal resolution period. I cannot predict how long that will take. It will depend on how many appeals we get, how complex they are, et cetera. But the point is, all appeals must be resolved before this map can be finalized. It's the due process set by the federal law. If we get to an impasse during that sorting out of the technical data, if need be, the community can request that it be passed off essentially to arbitration to a scientific review panel, which would be made up of members of the National Academy of Scientists who would look over the input from the local officials, look over the input from the FEMA engineering analysis, put everything together and help sort out the best estimate of the flood risk in the community. After that, then we'll go to the letter of final determination. That letter will set the effective date, the new to-be future effective date 6 months later. During that 6 months is what we call the 6-month adoption period. That gives all the parties involved a chance to view the new maps, to be ready for them, for us to print them, mail them out, put notices into the insurance rating manual, et cetera, all that stuff. At the end of the 6 months will be the effective date for the revised firm, and by that date, the city and other communities must have adopted for use for permits as the minimum requirement, use that new revised firm to remain in the flood insurance program. And my best guess right now, if all things go quite easy, quote unquote, could be spring of 2014 for the effective date. So we've got quite a few steps to go through between now and then. At that effective date, it means it would have been adopted, I presume, by all the communities. It will go in effect for all the flood insurance rating and all the banks using it for the mandatory purchase requirement. And that's the process for the first big ticket item, the more local item we're dealing with right now. So if we could advance, please. The other item, which is truly on a national scale, affecting communities across the country, is implementation of the Biggert Waters Flood Insurance Reform Act. It was passed last year and signed into law on July 6 of 2012. And to simplify it, I mean greatly simplify it, basically, with the exception of primary residences, the rating for all structures, other structures, will lose over time, phased out, will be losing subsidized ratings and losing grandfathered ratings. By subsidized, we're referring to what we call pre-firm structures, structures that were built before the flood maps were originally published in a community, before that flood zone was even identified by the flood insurance program. By grandfathering, we refer to the rating of a policy according to the flood elevations that were in effect at the time of construction for the building. Those subsidies and grandfatherings will be phased out over a 4 to 5 year period, different scenarios for different types of policies. And that will be a big ticket change for the cost of ownership for those, many of those living in the special flood hazard areas. It's going to take the flood insurance program much closer to actuarial rating, to rates that are based on the flood risk. Basically, the flood insurance program paid all its claims from, it's truly from the input of the premiums from 1984 through 2005. After several hurricanes in 2005, flood insurance program landed in debt, some 17 or $18 billion. Had to borrow that money from the Treasury, fully expected to pay it back. FEMA, NFIP, has borrowing authority with the Treasury. And a lot of that debt went into this Reform Act passed by Congress last year. And now, actually, all of the act was passed well before Hurricane Sandy. And Hurricane Sandy up in the Northeast added a whole lot more to that debt. So anyway, Congress decided that the flood insurance program needs to go a lot closer to what true regular insurance program works, where you look at the risk, put a number on that, look at the number of policies to be sold, and put those together, called actuarial rating. And that's the second big ticket item happening here in this area and actually across the nation. So my objectives and our objectives at the open houses and such are for our policyholders and your citizens to understand this, to look forward and see the future coming down so they don't get surprised when they call up their insurance agent and find out that, oh, your policy premium went up 25%, which is already happening for some pre-firm properties as of January 1st. And also, fortunately, in a sense, fortunately not so much in Kenner, but the folks that properties were damaged by Hurricane Isaac. If you're having a construction crew out there and if you can find any way in financing to elevate your home now so that you'll get lower premiums in the future, we're trying to help folks find every which way possible they can. Because the elimination of the subsidies, the elimination of the grandfathering for pretty much all the policies excepting primary residences is going to be a big ticket change. And that's what I needed to tell you.
Thank you, Mr. Heigl. We appreciate the information, and we certainly appreciate the warning. Not that it's going to do us any good, because everything else seems to be increasing. Since Katrina, everything has increased in regard to construction insurance in any way, shape, or form. We have some councilmen who have some questions, so if you wouldn't mind just waiting, I'll give them the floor.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilwoman Brannigan, you were first on the list. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Okay. First of all, thank you for being here and trying to shed some light on this. As long as I've served on the council, which is about 16 years, we've always just had, when the new flood maps came, we adopt them, or else you can't participate in the flood program, so you accepted it as just part of the process, and never have we had this much information in terms of how the maps came back and what things have changed to make that not necessarily as seamless a process. So my question, a couple questions. Is this just for this area that we're having all of this, these hearings and these changes because of the Corps of Engineer projects and the disasters that we've had, or is this something that's typical across the country?
Honestly, it's typical across the country.
Okay.
In this case, Louisiana, we, back in the 2007, 2008 timeframe, published flood maps for all, I think, 15 parishes of coastal Louisiana. And I'd say maybe 5 of those have already completed the entire process. So right now, in my particular concerns right now are these 5 parishes of Metro New Orleans, which is where my emphasis is. The timeline is hitting for these 5 parishes, coincidentally.
And from what we've heard, East Jefferson of Jefferson Parish is going to fare a whole lot better than West Jefferson, which was part of the holdup in that, and particularly Kenner, we're going to see better rates on primary residence.
I know what you're saying, but I would say it slightly differently.
Okay.
I would rather not say better rates, because the actual rating process of a flood insurance policy takes into account the zone, flood zone that the property's in, and the floor elevation compared to the base flood elevation. So the floor compared to the flood elevation. So if a property is 1 foot above that flood elevation, the folks in North Dakota get the same rate you get right here. So what is changing is the fact of the depiction of the flood risk, so that in many parts inside of the HSDRA levee system, that flood risk, flood elevation is dropping. So there, the difference between the numbers, so now those properties are in many cases going to be found to be higher than the flood level, less riskier, and in turn lower premiums.
And so that's typical across the board for Kenner, it seems like, from everything that we've heard.
I'd slightly defer to Ms. Tamithia because she's more
nodding
in
her
tune
head.
with your city than I am on those
Yes.
details.
Okay. So my next question is, when these new, and I hate to use the word rates because you wanted me to say it a little bit differently, but when this new,
Increase.
well, no, it's not an increase.
No.
No, what,
Depiction of the risk.
do people have to call their insurance agent to reevaluate their policy at that time, or will it only be done at renewal time?
It'll be done at the renewal of the policy.
Okay.
And yes, that's another part of our objectives now. Besides that open house I mentioned for the public, that morning, we're going to have a 2-hour session for local insurance agents. So we're trying to get the word out to them to help them understand all this too.
So this is not something that would have to be initiated by an individual for them to realize whatever savings they're going to, if any, for their new policy. It's something that will be determined when they renew. It will automatically happen the way it's supposed to happen.
In theory, yes, and also doubly so because so much re-rating is going to happen through the implementation of the Reform Act. With all that said, my advice to a policyholder is call the agent, get quotes for future conditions now so they can plan ahead, because some parties, this will be a true change to their financial situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have a few new X zones in Kenner. And then, so, all right, let me skip to the page that talks about the summary of contents. And you kind of touched on that flood insurance is going to change. So for the regular person who this is their primary home, basically in Kenner, it could be said that we are going to, it's in our favor. These new flood maps are going to work in our favor in terms of their premiums. But if it's a second home or an investment home or a business or a rental property, that is not the case.
Contingent on the site-specific look at the rating, at the flood elevation for that specific site. If they're already enjoying the grandfathering, if their flood elevations have already gone up, but they're rated according to the old map, and therefore, in a sense, getting a break right now, those breaks, those grandfathering will be phased out for them. For those second homes, for those rental properties, yes.
Businesses.
For
And
the-
then there's something on here, because I mean, I'm concerned about businesses and what have you, but I mean, my true concern is with the primary residents and what it's going to do to impact, because that's across the board, probably the most amount of people that we, are talking about in the program. If a resident has had 5 cases of flood claims, there's something that's going to impact them as well, correct?
Yes, yes. Okay, first off, I should make sure about the primary residences. They should realize when they sell that property, the buyer is going to see a policy go to actuarial rating. And concerning policies, structures that have had repeat flooding already, repetitive claims, we call them repetitive loss, which is a large problem in southern Louisiana. Yes, those are on the list to be phased out of grandfathering also. And that, latest I've heard, will start in effect in October, I believe. Actually, the folks in Washington are still working on the rulemaking process, determining how to implement all of the entire Reform Act, so they're doing it in steps at a time. So, yes, ma'am, the repetitive loss properties are going to be moving to actuarial rating.
Okay. And then you said something about the buyer. Can buyers, will they still be able to assume policies that are in place? Or does that just affect the grandfathering?
The buyers will be buying new policies
New policies.
at the actuarial rates. Change of ownership. Will lose the subsidies, lose the grandfathering.
Wow.
This is big across the entire nation. This is some big changes to this program.
Yeah.
The way it was,
Not good.
worked really well for a couple of decades, but this is how we're instructed to start doing business anew.
Okay, I'd like to be able to find out when that date is on the East Bank so that we can advertise that. Oh, you have it? The location, yeah. Well, which date? 19th to the 20th is the East Bank.
It's the 20th at Lafreniere Park from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's when each constituent can come and actually find out their particular site.
And where is it being held?
At Lafreniere Park.
At Lafreniere. Okay, so ours is the 20th at Lafreniere. But I mean, really, they could go online and see, but this is will there be people there to answer any questions?
Correct. We'll have folks
Okay.
there to look up on the map, give you a printout, old map, new map, look at the two, and then go to the next set of staff members to ask the insurance folks, what will this mean for me? And then also have folks like me around to help explain how it correlates back to the community participation in the flood and in the program and construction requirements and all that.
Because, I mean, I guess I've been kind of excited knowing that, it's going to impact Kenner favorably in terms of the new flood maps, but there's a lot of other things that could, on a case-by-case basis, not necessarily work in favor of a homeowner, especially in some of the lower-lying areas that have had a lot of flooding already, and not knowing what the protection, the new protection systems are how it's going to impact them for any future events, so.
And the difficulty is that you really have to drill down site by site
Right.
to sort out how so I can't give generalizations about it will affect your city this much percentage. I just can't do that. It would be unfair.
But we're still going to have those kind of discounts that we get for doing certain things, right? Community discounts and things like that? Okay. And
The community rating system, may I reiterate, thank you for the support to Ms. Tamithia and the work she does?
Yes, you may, because we appreciate her as well. Okay, I think it's probably, well, it is the most confusing time for this program in the, like I said, the number of years that I've owned a house, but certainly since I've been in office. So I think, I think until it's in place, I don't know that we really know the true impact on certain individuals in the city. I mean, but again, I'm still optimistic that our maps are coming back better, and of course appreciative for all of the core projects. Of course, we wanted that levee protection system, but I'm still a little anxious about what the changes are going to mean.
On the website that I mentioned to you, riskmap6.com, you pick Louisiana, and then pick Jefferson Parish, and get to the mapping information page. The first map that comes up is what we're calling a change layer. The areas you see in green, the base flood elevations are going down. The areas you see in the reddish color will be base flood elevations going up. So that's a first place for people to be able to look and get kind of an overview of what's going to be happening in their community. And then you can zoom in and change to the layers to see the old map, the new map, and start looking in detail.
So anybody who buys a house is going to have to initiate a brand-new elevation certificate?
I believe so.
You are going to make a couple of companies very wealthy people.
Well, it will depend in a bit on the existing elevation certificate, because the elevation of the floor itself is still there. So the next half of it is the zone determination from the new map. And in some cases, that will be a simple process, that zone determination. And in some cases, the agents will be able to do that right there in their office. Be those ones close to the boundary that they may well have to call to get more details.
But half of the people who have ever initiated a flood elevation policy, a flood policy, either don't know where their flood elevation certificate is anymore, or they never kept a copy.
Right.
And people not being able to assume what's already information that's already obtained by the insurance company. So it's gonna.
You are correct, ma'am. You're on the right track with this. What's happening?
Thank you.
Don't shoot the messenger.
I know. I know. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Denopoulos, you have the floor.
Great. Thank you for coming in. So basically, those maps, we can go on the site, map6.com, riskmap6.com, and be able to see green is good, red is bad.
On that first page called the change layer, yes.
Okay. Now, I'm looking at the process where, it has the advertisements and the 90 days appeals, and then and then the resolution, and then you have this, appeals process period, and then you have a 6-month adoption period.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to understand if the determination is cut off at a certain point in time, and there's no more appeals, it's green and it's red. Why then another 6 months wait? The reason why I'm asking is because you told us that the policies will be adjusted on their anniversaries. So now you have a half a year of policies and anniversary dates, now having to wait another year. And that's where I'm kind of trying to see what's going to be best for the citizens here in Kenner.
Well, that was rather pleasant to hear people waiting on the change. In many other communities, they'd rather the change be delayed. So I must mention that this revised flood map is a parish-wide item. So it will go, when it moves, it will move for the entire parish at once. And that 6-month period is held over, I suppose, from the original days written in the Code of Federal Regulations about, well, it gives us time to print the maps, although we don't print paper anymore very much.
Right.
And give all parties time to understand it. So, yes, that effective date will be, I'd say at least 1 year from now.
All right. So I mean, but nothing's going to stop a homeowner that if they're now in the green zone, okay, and these all get adopted, and then now there's a 6-month adoption period. However, I can I can cancel my flood policy and reissue my flood policy based on these new maps, regardless of the anniversary date. So if I feel that I'm going to get a savings, I don't have to wait 6 months.
Well, in a sense, yes, because it's only the effective map that can be used for rating a policy.
Right, but it's
So
adopted.
right now,
right?
anybody to go buy a policy right now has to go back to the, what was it, 1995 map.
Right. No, this is after the adoption. The letter of final adoption is what I'm talking about.
So to me, adoption is the community puts in your flood damage prevention ordinance, we will use this
So we have to do it by
map.
ordinance, accepting what they, what the resolution is from them. Now,
And then
have,
effective is the date on the map.
gotcha. Now I understand the process. I'm just digging in a little more. Now, have all the levies that we have in the parish been certified?
I hesitate because I'm not directly in the engineering process that does all that. However, I do know that Jefferson Parish is not in the position, which a couple of your neighboring parishes are, of waiting on new guidance on how to map areas behind non-accredited levees. So Jefferson Parish is not waiting on that new guidance from Washington. So it's my understanding, yes, we're all good to go in Jefferson Parish.
So all the levies are certified as we know.
That's how I understand it. If you look.
I've never
flood-
seen it published, that's why I'm asking.
Oh,
Yeah,
if you look currently at our flood maps, if you look
Yeah.
at, and you know where the levee is, and you see a lower base flood elevation on one side of it, that means has been
Been certified.
accredited. Certified, yes.
okay, all right. Great, that's the questions I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Oh, and along that line, if I may say, the community does other projects to improve or enlarge levees or add other levees or to add pumps or other drainage improvement. When those projects are complete, gather up all that as-built documentation, send it to us, and we revise that portion of the flood map.
If I could just add one more thing, and I know, Tamithia, this is something I know the mayor and a couple of us were in a meeting with the airport. The airport's thinking about either giving us money to improve the pump station at the outfall canal, or for them to actually operate their own pump station. That would be, we're talking about pumping water out of our canal systems. That would be included in your rating as to see if those areas get a better.
Right, if that,
So we really need to push forward that with the airport, see the decision of what they want to make.
and
Okay. I'm just, what you're telling me is that if we have data that shows that
I'm
this would
encouraging that they
improve.
talk even during the design phase for that project to see how it will meet our mapping criteria in advance, to plan it for exactly that purpose if possible.
Well, that's very important to know, and we need to jump on that right away. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Denopoulos. Ms. Shaw, you have the floor.
Once again, I want to thank Mr. Hegel for coming. I just want to reiterate that we will be at Lafayette Park, representatives of each community. I will be there on the 20th from 2 to 7 p.m. To answer any questions along with the representatives of FEMA as well as any insurance. I want to thank Jose Gonzalez and Doug Dote. They got the technical information for the City of Kenner to get our ratings for the City of Kenner's new maps. And also, I want to thank this mayor and this council, because you don't understand, every time you do a drainage project, that's what went into getting these new maps. I have looked at the new maps, and we are fortunate that a lot of our areas are going from special flood hazard areas to X zones. So we will have a lot of primary residences enjoying that new favorable rating. So, like I said, the work that this administration, this mayor, that you have done as the council when you do these, I know it seems something minor, but all of that counts. When we give that information, that technical information to FEMA, that's how we come up with a favorable rating. I mean, every community is not enjoying this, but we are. And like I said, anyone who has questions about their specific home can come on March 20th, or they can look at the at the website that Mr. Hegel has referred to.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Hagel, I want to also thank you for coming today to share this information. Even though the information is good for us to know, but there's a tendency always for people to get a little bit excited or concerned or nervous, as they should be. Thanks to the hard work of the administration and Attorney Shaw, the city of Kenner will probably fare in a positive way. And we're keeping our fingers crossed for that. And we can appreciate the two dates, one on the West Bank and one on the East Bank at Lafreniere Park. But the website is good for a percentage of our population that is computer savvy. We have a senior population in the city of Kenner who may or may not be. I can also appreciate the fact that at Lafreniere Park, if this is for the entire Jefferson Parish, there will be a large number of people there. And that being said, it may in itself scare off a lot of the population to even go. That's why I appreciate Ms. Shaw. Is there a possibility for us to have, after the initial, for us to have something maybe respectively for our, in the city of Kenner, to have it again to explain some of the, because I can see all of us getting calls asking that we already get. Is it a possibility to have, I don't want to say an additional meetings, I'm not trying to put any work on you, but to have the information, and it sounds like I am, to have the information to be able to share with our population. How would you?
We would have to work with FEMA because they're going to have insurance representatives. Like Mr. Hegel said, you're going to be able to find out what your zone is going to be. And then if it's not favorable to you, like I said, I don't think we're going to have a lot of that in the city of Kenner. You'll be able to go to an insurance agent who will be able to tell you how it's going to impact you. So I don't know how we could coordinate that, but what we will do, because we do have a Jefferson Parish CRS users group, what we maybe can do in the future is coordinate something to have something for each different municipality in the city. I don't know how we would do it, but you know, anyone who can't make it, if we can get the information and we can look it up on the map for them, because we do have a lot of elderly people that won't be able to make it. We'll do whatever assistance we can. Now, some things we may not be able to answer, like the insurance impact there may be, but whatever information we can answer, we'll go ahead and try to answer from. Maybe we'll try to do something at the Senior Citizens Center that we have and go there and work with them and just give them information there.
Would we be able to put, I know Mr. Hagel had mentioned about the state website, but would it be possible for us to put information?
What I think we're going to do is going to ask our IT department to link it to this website so you can put your address in and get the information.
And, you know, we hearing about the X zone and all that, which is positive for us. Once people get comfortable and be able to establish that relationship back with their insurance agent, I think it's going to help. But it's good to be prepared for some of these questions that we're going to be getting.
Yes, this is going to be different from all of us, and I'm like Councilwoman Brannigan. We were all excited about the map because we saw the map and said, you know, I've seen the map, and I'm like, you know what, this is positive changes for the city of Kenner, and then we get hit with this big Mortgage Act, which may, you know, all that excitement you had just like kind of deflates you a little bit, but we will be looking to answer those questions. We're going to be attending meetings in the future, and we'll try to bring that information back to the council because you are going to receive some calls, so we want to have that information for you when you receive it.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your hard work, too. Thank you, Mr. Hagel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Shaw, your light is still on. Did you wish to address this further? Okay. Councilman Stagney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I was just going to say, Ms. Shaw is currently certified as our floodplain manager for the city, and she is capable of presenting those maps when they come out. And I think by and large, the new D firm is going to be very, very positive for our city. It will have maybe a negative impact on those investors who have bought properties that may have flooded before, but that's the financial part of this insurance program that Congress has stripped away, that subsidy that they once had. So by and large, if you are owner occupying your house, your rates, I think, will be very, very well after these maps come out. So I appreciate you being here, Mr. Heigl, and appreciate you asking them, Ms. Shaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stagney. Councilwoman DeFrancis.
I'm going to be very quick. Again, Ms. Shaw, if we could make sure we put it on our website so people know about these meetings, when and where they're going to be held. That's number one. Number two, these are kind of points I know we've already made, but we have done so much work in the city of Kenner, this council, this administration, to improve drainage and sewage problems that have plagued this city for so long. And we need to make sure that we all work together to get that information, because it's imperative from what this wonderful gentleman came that tonight gave us all this information, that it be provided so that we get the best rate we can, and risk assessment rate for our people. I try to keep the terminology correct. But again, I know that when all of us were first presented with those maps, we were absolutely delighted. And Kenner would have moved forward very, very quickly. Unfortunately, we didn't have that option, and I just want people to know that we would have done it had we been able to do it on our own, but we had to wait for Jefferson Parish. And so I just wanted to put that out to people. Thank you again, sir, for being here today.
Thank you, sir. Behind you is an individual from the audience, Mr. Al Morello, who would like to come up and speak, so don't go far.
Al Morello, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 41 years. Before I make these comments, I would like to thank Mr. Heigl for coming here tonight, taking the time to come here. But with all due respect, Mr. Heigl, I saw your presentation on the replay of the Jefferson Parish Council meeting as well, basically the same. But I think what we need to talk about, which wasn't mentioned at all, was the multi-million-dollar deficits that the National Flood Insurance Program is running right now, and they are a monopoly, a federal monopoly. I believe, and this is my belief, and maybe not for the city of Kenner, but we got to think about everybody out here, man. I believe that those deficits, no question, they're going to have to be made up, and I believe they're going to be made up off the backs of the ratepayers. They had this issue on the national news the other day, man, and I forget what area of the country they was talking about, but they said in the years to come, there could be people paying as much as $20,000 a year for flood insurance. So now, I can tell you, you can use all the terminology you want. Those deficits have to be made up, and they're going to be made up off the backs of the ratepayers. That's all I have to say. Anybody? Any comments, any questions? Mr. Heigl?
The gentleman is correct. There are, excuse me, they're not in my purview for the implementation, but basically, the gentleman is correct. There are parts in the summaries of the Reform Act, which I have seen, that say exactly that gives a period, I believe it's over a decade, that the program needs to get to actuarial rating, create a reserve fund, and pay off that debt. And yes, it will in turn increase, just like other inflation, only more so, will increase the cost to the ratepayers.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad I got you to comment on it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Heigl, so I guess what we need to do is tell the people out there, listening audience, that they will have an opportunity to review this and to see the maps and to discuss any questions or in regards to their zone, if they can attend the meeting. The March 19th is for Jefferson Parish, and the March 20th is it March 19th and 20 at Lafreniere Park. And I assume that's the pavilion it's going to be the presentation and everything. So, Ms. Shaw, is that correct? So anybody that has questions, and I know there's a lot out there because it was so much to absorb tonight. We keep thinking that it was going to be something really good for the citizens of Kenner, and it probably will be compared to some of the other areas, but everything comes at a cost. And so any questions or anybody that would like to address this can attend those meetings on the 19th and the 20th at Lafreniere Park Pavilion. So we appreciate you coming with the good news and the bad news. But we appreciate your time, and of course it was valuable information that needs to be, people need to hear. So okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Council Clerk?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chairman. This evening, I received a request to amend the agenda to include item 19A, the reconsideration of ordinance number 10,535, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Taylor Power Systems Incorporated for a 2-year contract for preventative maintenance service for emergency generators for the city of Kenner in an amount not to exceed $100,000 per year as per sealed bid number 12-6117 for the Department of Public Works.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Denopoulos, second by Councilman Reno, to include item 19A on the agenda. Please vote.
Yes, ma'am, this would be to suspend your rules right now.
To suspend council rules, excuse me, yes.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to suspend the rules for item 19A.
Now we have a motion by Councilman Denopoulos, second by Councilman Reno, to include item 19A. If there's anyone in the audience wishing to object, please come forward. Hearing none, all council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to add item 19A to your agenda this evening. The consent agenda this evening.
Motion by Councilman Brannigan, second by Councilwoman Black on the consent.
Okay, let me read it in. We have that new rule. I have to read the consent agenda in, ma'am. Let me read it real quick. Item 1 is approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of February 21st, 2013. Item 2 is approval of alcohol beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 1731-13, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton School, to hold a public gathering for a 5K school run fundraiser on March 23rd, 2013, from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at 4119 St. Elizabeth Drive. Item 3B is application number 1732-13, Hammond's Transportation, to hold a public gathering for a company picnic on May 25th, 2013, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Veterans Park. Item 3C is application number 1735-13, St. Jerome Church, to hold a public gathering for a Good Friday outdoor Way of the Cross procession on March 29th, 2013, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. through various streets of Green Lawn Terrace subdivision. Item 3D is application number 1736-13, Crescent City Cruisers Classic Car Club, to hold a public gathering on March 15th, April 19th, May 17th, June 21st, July 19th, August 16th, September 20th, and October 18th, 2013, from 6:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Lake Town. Item 3E is application number 1737-13, City of Kenner, to hold a public gathering for music in the park on May 3rd, May 10th, May 17th, May 28th, 24th, May 31st, 2013, from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at Heritage Park. Item 3F is application number 1738-13, City of Kenner, to hold a public gathering for movies in the park on May 4th, May 11th, May 18th, May 25th, 2013, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Heritage Park. Item 3G is application number 1743-13, Kentonapolis, to hold a public gathering for a charity event on March 15, 2013, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Kenner Pavilion at the Kenner City Park. Item 4 is correspondence and reports from the mayor and all department heads. We have none. Item 5 is acceptance and rejection of bids requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. Item 5A is a resolution authorizing the purchase of equipment and software for the current identification card system from IDville in the amount of $3,246.99 for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 6 is change orders requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 7 is acceptance of committee findings for final passage. We have none. Item 8 is re-subdivision ordinances for final passage. We have none.
Motion by Councilman Brannigan, second by Councilman Black. Please vote on the consent agenda.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda this evening, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,442. An ordinance amending Chapter 16, Article 1 and 2 of the City of Kenner Code of Ordinances regarding vehicles for hire.
Motion by Councilwoman DeFrancis, second by Councilman Denopoulos for a 2-meeting deferral.
Yes, ma'am, we've received a request for a 2-meeting deferral.
Okay. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 for a two-meeting deferral. Item 9B is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,473, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an executive and execute the Fifth Amendment to lease number 1298 with the state of Louisiana and to provide for other related matters.
Motion by Councilman Brannigan, second by Councilman Black. Mr. Quigley,
Can let's
to open a public hearing. Excuse me, thank you, Ms. Brannigan. Please vote on opening of a public hearing. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
We're now in a public hearing to discuss ordinance number 11,473. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to address the council, please come forth at this time.
He did this to me. Go see.
Motion by Councilman Brannigan, second by Councilman Black, to close the public hearing. Motion by Councilman Brannigan, second by Councilman Black, to approve.
Madam Chairman, let's vote to close your hearing real quick.
Thank you. I need retraining, don't I?
Okay, one more. One more vote.
Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Councilmember DeNapolis did not vote.
Okay. Mr. Quigley, would you give us a brief explanation in regards to this legislation?
Actually, City Attorney Deborah Yenny is here. She worked on this amended lease, and she'll be happy to do the explanation.
Thank you, Ms. Yenny.
As you know, Laketown is reclaimed water bottoms, and anytime you have water bottoms, you have to lease that property from the state. Our first lease from the state was in 1981. Since that time, the lease has been amended 4 times. The first time was basically the area where the boat launch was. Then when the casino came in, we had to give a part of that back. So when we gave a tiny part back, they gave us a little bit more land to the west. And then the Fourth Amendment was giving us the land all the way to the west now where it extends to. What this lease does is it takes a part of, if you look at the screen, the part all the way to the west that's 5A, we would be releasing that back to the state. And that would give us the opportunity to have some commercial development there because our lease with the state is a recreational lease only. So only the state can have a commercial endeavor on any water bottoms. So they would actually have to go out for bid on that. And the way the lease is worded is we gave them a much larger area than we would probably need. But the way the lease is worded so that we wouldn't have to keep going back and getting it amended, any land that's not used for commercial would automatically revert back to our lease.
Okay.
So we wouldn't have to have a 6th Amendment and a 7th Amendment.
So this, go ahead.
Also, because we would be releasing some of that area, we also asked them to give us that area to the east, which is 5B, which is about 21 acres. Now, that's still all water bottom right now, but hopefully one day we could reclaim that and that could be used for recreation or commercial activity or something in the future.
Okay, so we just, basically what we're doing is just legalizing everything and it's following proper procedure to follow state guidelines. And in case there's anybody that's concerned, I know that there were some people that will eat in the eastern portion, they thought that applied, the commercialism applied to that section too. But however, the commercialized section only concerns the western side of the.
That is correct. Right now, our lease at 5B is only for recreation.
Correct, okay. Councilman Reyno, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam President. This is the next step in developing Laketown. You know, the first step was the annexation, and this is the next step. So I just want to thank the administration for, you know, working and moving this forward because this definitely is going to be a reality, hopefully real soon. So thank you for all your work. Appreciate it.
We can't wait to see it, huh? Thank you so much. Councilman DeNapolis, you have the floor.
And in support of Councilman Reyno on this, you know, basically why we're giving this lease back to the state so they can develop it commercially. we as a city cannot do that.
That is correct.
Okay, and I just want to clarify that to the public that's listening tonight, is that we can reclaim lake bottoms, and we can develop, those leases, but only for recreational uses. And the intent of this council and administration is to actually draw more people to our lakefront. And of course, you do that through a venue of commercial endeavors and establishments, so therefore, we have to turn that section of that lease over to the state.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing no other discussion, please vote to approve.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 9C is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,474, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to renew the agreement with Catholic Charities Archdiocese of New Orleans Incorporated for the property located at 1803 Minor Street, Kenner, Louisiana, for a 5-year term. Madam Chairman, we've received a request this evening to remove this item from the agenda.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Stagney, second by Councilman Carroll to remove. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to remove the item from the agenda. Item 9D is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,475, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Kenner to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement with the 6th Justice of the Peace Court for the lease of 1801 Williams Boulevard, Building C, Suite 400, Kenner, Louisiana, for use as office space.
Motion by Councilman Stagney, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
We're now in a public hearing to discuss summary ordinance number 11,475. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council at this time, please come forward. Motion by Councilman Stagney, second by Councilwoman Brannigan to close public hearing. Please vote.
One more vote, please. Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
Motion by Councilman Stagney, second by Councilwoman Brannigan to approve. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 9E is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,485, an ordinance amending the capital budget to budget grant funds to be received from the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development for the Kenner Railroad pavement marking safety improvements under state project number H.009772, state control section number 000-26, in the amount of $72,282.85 for the city of Kenner.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. Please vote to open a public hearing.
One more vote, please. Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to open your hearing.
We're now in a public hearing to discuss a summary ordinance number 11,485. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address this at the council at this time, please come forward. Motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilwoman Brannigan to close the public hearing. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
Motion to approve by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. Councilman Carroll, did you wish to address the council? Could you put your light on, please? You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Gonzalez, neither Mr. Dylan Coffer is here right now, but this was a project that they worked on real hard to be able to assure monies from the LOTD to ensure additional safeties for the railroad crossing in South Kenner. For someone who has lived their entire life there and understand that we are pretty much at the mercy of the trains when they pass and the crossings to work properly, this is something that we appreciate much, that these new crossings are bright. There are additional signage and everything to improve what has sometimes been fatal accidents. Mr. Gonzalez is back, but Mr. Gonzalez, we're talking about the grant that we received that you worked hard on. So maybe let me let you talk first about the history of it, just to bring us up to the point where I can conclude.
Well, let me say, I wasn't the one that did the hard work. The hard work was done by Mike Ince. I just follow up on it, okay? Just like we got that safety grant, we also have a safety grant for non-railroad crossings, okay, where we purchase the materials and we get reimbursed. And that's another one that you're going to see in the very near future throughout the city, okay? This particular one covers 13 intersections in South Kenner, all by railroad crossings. And we have a grant. It just so happened, and the DOTD did all the construction engineering work. It just so happened that we overran the quantities for striping and signing because there were a couple of crossings that were not earmarked to be striped or signed, okay? And those were noticed during construction. As a result of that, there was an increase in cost for striping and signing. But that cost is going to be absorbed by the grant on a 100% basis. We're not paying a cent for this.
And thanks a lot. And I'm glad we were able to identify the additional signings or crossings that were not initially noticed. So this is something that's going to improve it. Also, you know, when you live, like I was saying before, so close to the railroad tracks, I've seen so many accidents. People have lost their lives and sort of things that you respect the situation when you're crossing it, not only for the people who live there, but the entire city of Kenner. As we just read, there will be music in the park. There will be movies in the park. So we will now bring people who are not as familiar with the crossing, but because of the signage, they will be able to benefit from the signage and the bright marking. There's Our Lady Perpetual Help School, which is right there on Williams Boulevard. There are a number of crossings that children cross back and forth to go to the different playgrounds and play lots. So all of this will be beneficial for us. Actually, Mr. Dillenhofer, we had a situation this week, and I want to ask you about that. A railroad crossing, the safety arms at, I believe, Hanson and Farrah.
Correct.
And Farrah that were not going up and down, and it was reported from the neighborhood. Ms. Ply was one of the ones, and I wanted to ask you, is that our responsibility to check this cross, or do we have to report it to the railroad?
That's
and where are we with that, matter of fact?
Canadian National Railroad that deals with that. We don't check them. They fool with them. We're not supposed to touch any of the railroad equipment. And that was actually on Farrah, I believe, in Farm Street that they were having problems with, yes.
So have we notified?
They've been out there. They've been out there. They did a road closure, and they're working on it.
Yes, because, you know, according to the information we received, the arms were not going up and down properly.
Correct.
School buses literally had to back up because they could not cross the track and other traffic. So, you know, it's little things like this that when we forget about it, sometimes people tend to want to take advantage of it and not realizing the harm that they may be causing. And it's normally in the morning with children in the car and the bus that people make these mistakes. So I'm glad that we have this additional signage. I'm glad that this was identified by the neighborhood and they went out there today to fix the problem. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Hearing no other discussion, please vote to approve.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Madam Chairman, I'm sorry, could you please remove, let's go back real quick. We need to amend, so could you please remove, we're going to go back, and I need a motion and a second.
Motion by
amend.
Councilman Carroll, second by Councilwoman Brannigan.
Let me read the amendment in the record, please. This is to amend, and we're going to add we're going to add a section 2 to read the let me put it on the screen for you guys. To read Section 2, the 2012 capital budget is amended as follows. Revenues, Kenner Railroad pavement, Markings Safety Improvement Grant, account number 363-360-4400-1331 for $72,283, for total revenues of $72,283. Then you'll have expenditures, Kenner Railroad and Pavement Marking Safety Improvements, account number 363-3036-5183-1331 for the total of $72,283 for a total expenditures line of $72,283.
So on the amendment, motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilman Brannigan. Please vote on the amendment.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to amend.
And to approve by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution requesting the mayor to submit a budget amendment to reallocate unutilized capital funds for the purchase of upgraded equipment needed by KTV.
Motion by Councilman Stagney, second by Councilman Reyno.
Madam Chairman, let me clarify, please. We will have this legislation to reflect submitted by all council members, if everyone's okay with it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Is it from the council as a whole?
Yes,
Okay.
this will be from the council as a whole.
Is that okay with the office? Okay. Thank you. Councilman Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. Several months ago, Mr. Reyno, at the request of the Department of Information Technology, was in need of some equipment. And we had talked, and my first view on it was to try to get unspent capital funds. And it just so happens at the same time and after the meeting that we had with the IT department, there was a $21,000 savings from the contracts that we were looking at just 2 meetings ago. Since that time, Councilman Reyno has even worked with the IT department to find even more money. And so from those savings, I think we're going to have some more equipment that we'll be buying. And I'd like to have Councilman Reyno go ahead and speak on it and tell us the amendments that you're going to put forth and what a good job he did to find this. And I often compliment IT and especially KTV for a 2-person department. They do the work of maybe 5 or 6 people. It's phenomenal what gets put out. We just talked earlier about floodplain management. I think they did a video on that they submitted that helped all of our citizens get a better rate. So time in and time again, they do things for this government and our citizens that inform them, that save them money, and that just 2 people doing all of that, we have to make sure that they can keep that productivity up. And by getting them new equipment and things like that, they're able to do that. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Stagney. Councilman Reyno, I know you got the ball going on
Yeah,
this. So
I'm sorry I didn't have my button pushed here. Thank you, Madam President. This is a good thing for the citizens of Kenner and for KTV. I went to KTV to have something done for the city-related matter, and had asked them, could they do it? And they said, no, not with the equipment that we have. So they could do it, but it would take a long time. It was a long process. But, I went to all the council members trying to get funding another way, and went to the administration, and, we thought we had it worked out, and we didn't. And then this came along, and we worked it all out. So KTV will have the money that they need to do the upgrade, and it will be a big enhancement for for KTV and for the citizens of Kenner. So
thank you, Councilman Reyno.
thank y'all all for working with us.
We appreciate your
Thank you.
efforts. Councilwoman DeFrancis.
Thank you, Council President, and I do echo Councilman Stagney's remarks, but again, even though this was submitted by the entire council, I have to tell you, Councilman Reno came immediately, I know, and spoke not only to me, but to many others. And we all thought his idea was such a great idea that we did need to work together. And one of the things I admired was he said, I don't want this to be from me. I want this to be from the entire council. And that was an effort to bring this council together. And I think anytime we do that, and we have people that are willing to bring us together as a group for something positive, I think that's great. So my compliments to you, Councilman Reno, and again, for trying to work as a whole rather than as individuals on this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Denopoulos.
Thank you. I'm kind of echoing the same things that Councilwoman DeFrancis said, because let me tell you, on this council, Keith is the techno-wizzo guru of this council, okay? And when he says that the IT needs, KTV needs some help, I'm going to have to listen to him and go ahead and vote for this. Thanks, Keith, for bringing this up, and you also, Councilman Stagney, for finding the funding for it. But the idea and the funding, once again, went together, and we got a good program here, and hopefully we can get some money to KTV. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Denopoulos. And it goes without saying that this department has been a very efficient department. It accomplishes so much, and we're happy to be able to get the monies that are necessary to keep it moving forward. So,
Madam Chairman, if we could,
and there's
please.
an amendment.
Yes, ma'am. We have an amendment, please, this evening. I'll read it into the record. We're going to add a whereas to read. Several whereases to read. Whereas the City Council approved a capital expenditure of $90,000 in the 2012-2013 capital budget for the purchase of equipment for an off-site backup server, and whereas the Department of Information Technology and Telecommunications purchased the needed equipment for the off-site backup server via existing cooperative purchasing agreements at a collective price of $79,262.04, a savings resulting in $10,737.96 of unutilized funds for this capital project, and whereas unutilized funds from the capital projects referenced herein collectively totals $32,562.83. And then we will be amending in the next whereas the amount from $21,824.87 to $32,562.83. And then in section 1, we will be amending the same amount.
Thank you. So on the amendment, please vote.
Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion by Councilman Councilman Reno, second by Councilman Stagney on the amendment.
Thank you.
Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
Back to the legislation. Councilman, it's admitted, it's from Councilman Reno, second by Councilman Stagney to approve. So please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution authorizing the administration to prepare and submit a grant application on behalf of the City of Kenner for the Safe Routes to Schools program.
Motion by Councilwoman DeFrancis, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. Councilwoman DeFrancis.
Thank you, Council President. This is going to be very quick. I want to first of all thank the administration, our grant writer again, for working on this particular program, which is the Safe Routes to School program. Let me tell you, I was asked to write a letter on behalf of Chateau Elementary to participate in this program. Colleen Winkler, who is the principal of Chateau Elementary, also wrote a corresponding letter as well. I'm very familiar with this program. It provides money for so many positive things for the children of Chateau. Our children need more exercise, and it promotes walking and bicycling to school, but it wants to do it in the most safe way possible for our children. And there are so many benefits through this program, including extra police protection for our children. So I'm going to ask all of you to please support this.
Thank you, Councilwoman DeFrancis. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda.
We had none.
Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 11,481. An ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Quality Site Work Materials Incorporated for a 2-year contract not to exceed $100,000 per year to supply PVC pipe and fittings for the city of Kenner on an as-needed basis for the city of Kenner.
Motion by Councilman Reyno, second by Councilman Denopoulos.
Madam Chairman, this evening I received a request for a 1-meeting deferral on this item.
Yes. Councilman Reyno, you can speak on the deferral.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm asking for a 1-meeting deferral because I have some questions about this that I need to get answered, and not just from the administration, but from the bidders on this. So I ask everybody to please vote for that, support it. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
We have a request for a deferral by Councilman Reyno, second by Councilman Denopoulos. Please vote.
One more? One more? Madam Chairman, motion passes
It's one or the other.
7-0 for a 1-meeting deferral. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 11,482, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from WC Contractor Incorporated for the repair and paint of the stucco wall at Joe Yenny and Woodlake Boulevard, damaged in a vehicular accident for the city of Kenner, and an amount of $6,000 as per letter bid number 13-1496 for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilman Denopoulos, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. Councilman Denopoulos.
Once again, the Woodlake wall was hit by a speeding vehicle and actually damaged the wall to the tune of $6,000. Just to let the public know that, that we will be reimbursed on the insurance proceeds on this particular accident. I know Mr. Connolly's been working on this, and this is something that does happen when the public, damages, public property. We do seek reimbursement from the insurance company. So, although the city is going to bid out the process and actually approve the payment of $6,000, that the city and the taxpayers will be reimbursed on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Denopoulos. I noticed that there's a large disparity in the bids on this, the 15B, to the tune of, with a small bid like this, that we have a $10,000, almost a $11,000 bid more than the actual low bidder.
Right.
Everybody bid on the same specs and
Yeah, just to add also too, this is the same gentleman or same company that's repaired that wall twice prior by vehicles hitting it. So I think they know the color. I think they know the location very well.
Thank you so much. Okay, please vote.
One more? Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 11,483, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Dyna Play LLC in the amount of $24,175 to remove certain tot lot equipment and furnish and install new equipment at the Lake Town tot lot in accordance with sealed bid number 13-6122 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Reyno, second by Councilwoman Black. Councilman Reyno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the tot lot equipment. If I can get Mr. Maricoli to come up and tell us exactly what we're doing over there. I know we had met before.
Yeah, this is the tot lot equipment that's going to be, some of the equipment out there is old, and we've had some issues with vandalism and different things. So this is the first part. They're going to go out and replace all the things that are damaged and things that need to be replaced, upgraded to where it meets all safety standards. And then, matter of fact, we just had Tuesday the surfacing opened, and we'll be putting that on the next agenda. But they have to replace the equipment, and then they can redo the surfacing. So all total, we anticipated it being around 50,000. It's going to come in about 44,000 and some change, so.
Okay, and the pieces that they're going to replace on this tot lot, the slides and all, they're replacing all of the sections or just certain sections?
They're replacing the certain sections, but it's actually the majority of the sections. So it's not like the entire thing is being replaced.
Okay.
I could give you a breakdown of every piece that's going to be, replaced in this process. I just unfortunately don't have it with me today.
And the base and everything that stay in there, the post and all, will those also be, repainted or whatever?
Correct. They're all going to be brought up to make it look like it's brand new. It's going to be refreshed. And again, it has to meet the safety standards that with the that's set forth. So this will all be it'll be a first-class facility once it's opened up and ready to run.
Great. Thank you very much.
Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 11,484. An ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Sport Court of Arkansas in the amount of $354,017.70 to replace gymnasium flooring at various sites in accordance with sealed bid number 13-6120 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman DeFrancis, second by Councilman Stagney. Councilwoman DeFrancis. You should be on. Did you turn it on? Councilman DeFrancis, you have the floor.
That's fine. I'm going to be very quick. Mr. Maricoli, would you like to explain a little bit about the type of flooring that we're going to be using, the quality of the flooring?
Yes, actually, what we're doing is we're getting rid of the vinyl tile floors at the majority of the gyms and going to it's actually sport court floor. I have some samples I could pass around if you want to see. We already have one installed at Susan Park Playground. Went through basketball season, a lot of very, very positive reviews on it. I think everybody that participated, whether they played, coached, watched, it really enhanced the quality of the looks of the facility. It also, as far as the rebound of the ball, the different things, the ball bounces very true. It's really a quality facility. It's being used by USA Volleyball. It's being used by the Olympics. It's being used by the federal basketball associations that support this. So it really is a quality product. It gives us less maintenance on the floors. It gives us a lot of durability. It was funded through the FEMA and hazard mitigation. The floor is designed to, if water gets into the facilities, that it will float. It will not be ruined. So there's so many positives about this floor that we're thoroughly excited. And not only that, it will greatly enhance the quality and the aesthetics of the facilities when you go in there. It just really brightens them up and makes them really look, first class.
And you mentioned so many good qualities about this type of flooring, but I think one of the questions people might have, when you spoke about durability, you talked about, again, if there were water to, get into the facility. But do we have any idea about the life of this type of product?
Yeah, they have a warranty, and I'm going to apologize because I don't have it at my disposal right now. But it's a quality warranty. We've talked to the manufacturer. They actually the ones. Again, the same floor was put in at Susan Park. They've been more than willing to work with us in every way to make sure that the warranties stay valid, how to keep, maintain them, the different things, coming back to help us if we have to put a new coating on top just to make sure that it stays with the shine. So we're just really excited. I could definitely send you the exact warranty I want to say it's 10 years minimum, but again, I apologize for not having that information.
But again, I was so glad to hear some of the other things that you mentioned, and that we've already tried the product, and that we're very satisfied with the quality of the product as well as the look, you know, how it enhances the facility. So thank you very much for the information and for your hard work and working on this project and making it come to fruition. Thank you.
Councilman Councilman Dinopoulos, you have the floor.
Did you get a mic too?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, this is work to be done in a lot of the gyms that we have here in the city, and of course, Ken Maricoli and I obviously, you know, have been working on the replacement of also the Wentwood gym floor. It's absolutely the worst floor existing in Kenner today that our kids are playing on, volleyball and basketball. So just to assure the public that that gym floor, although currently it's not listed in this legislation, is going to be listed in this legislation. I'm going to put an amendment up, another whereas from the floor, if I can get a second at this time.
You want to file an amendment, Mr. Dinopoulos?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to include Wood Lake
To
Playground?
include a 1, 2,
Wood
3,
Lake
4, 5, the
Gym?
fifth whereas?
Okay. And that whereas would be to include Wood Lake?
No, Wentwood Gym.
Wentwood Gym. In case anybody else has any concerns about their district, do you want to include?
Now, the whereas, can I read it into the record, please?
Absolutely.
Okay, whereas Wentwood gym floor to be replaced with $39,000 to be funded from FEMA public worksheets, and the balance to be paid from recreation. The replacing of Wentwood gym floor will coincide with the other gym floors being replaced in this ordinance.
We understand. Does everybody understand the amendment? On the amendment, motion by Councilman Dinopoulos, second by Councilman Stagney. Please, would anyone like to speak on the amendment?
Yes. I would. Do I have to put?
Just a moment. I'll give you the floor. Okay.
Thank you, Council President. I'm very happy to work with you, Councilman Dinopoulos. I just have one quick question for Mr. Maricoli. Mr. Maricoli, I know you've already selected the projects that were and the gyms that would be where the floors would be replaced with this amount that we've been able to obtain. So my only question is this in any way going to, I want people to know, will this in any way, this amendment impact your ability to go forward with the projects that you've already designated?
No, these projects were actually, again, the money was allocated by FEMA where we have the funding to move forward with this. These were bid out projects and things to move forward with these. What we were talking about, what I talked with the councilman about was that we are in the process of having our AE firm do the drawings and everything for the Wentwood project, but the funding, the way FEMA did in this project was they gave us the funding to do like in kind, which is the vinyl tile, which we're trying to get away from because of the fact that when the gym gets water and everything, we have what's going on at Wentwood now is that the tiles pop up constantly. And it seems like every day we're out there fixing or at least temporary sticking down 20, 30, 40 more tiles. So this isn't going to affect this project. This is actually geared towards more of that being an additional project. We're still going to have to follow the bid laws. We're still going to have to follow all the processes that we have to go through. But it just, from my understanding, it's just putting this that we need to move forward with this project as well.
And as I said, I was very supportive of, Councilman Dinopoulos' amendment, but I wanted to put it on the record that those projects that have already been designated to move forward, that people aren't worried that, well, we're going to replace one of those projects. And so this is in addition to the already approved projects that we're with which we will move forward, that we're adding an additional project.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilman Stagney. Just a moment. Councilman Dinopoulos, would you remove your request?
All right, I'll just close, please. Thank you.
Councilman Stagney, I'll have to give you the floor because he hasn't done that.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be supportive of the amendment. Wentwood, their floor is in bad shape, and, you know, the problem with tile floors are they cause a lot of injuries, they sweat, and they're downright ugly. I mean, they just don't look good. They're not good for our players, and they're just not good for our children. And we already have 39,000 committed through FEMA, and we're only looking at about 39 more. Is that about right?
It's actually going to be, it should be a little bit less than that, but, you know, again, it goes back into when we bid that process. It's removal of the vinyl tile, which is at that floor may be a little cheaper because as bad as they are popping up, they might not be as much labor intensive to remove the floor. So what we're hoping is it comes in a little bit less. The average of these, I think we're coming in around 68,000.
Great.
So what we're hoping is that that you know, falls into line and we can get that. And hopefully if the same, based on the amount that they're doing and the different things like that, you know, we're hoping that that it moves forward without any issues.
This is a beautiful, tremendous facelift to all of the gyms that's going to be getting this.
Excuse me, we have not voted on the amendment. We're speaking on the amendment.
Only.
So
Yes,
are you speaking on the amendment?
I'm speaking on the amendment, supporting Councilman DeNapolis for the Wentwood gym being added and the effects thereof. How about
Oh, now I get you. Okay.
I'll save the
Good
rest of my comments
explanation.
when we get the whole thing on the floor. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Councilman Carroll, did you wish to speak on the amendment? Hearing no other did you wish to close on the amendment? You're working me overtime today. Put it on. Put your light on.
I can't.
Your mic is on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And in conjunction with Councilman Stagney was trying to say, you know, all these gyms are played by all the kids of Kenner, okay? You know, when we're holding tournaments and we're holding leagues, I mean, Wentwood may hold a league that all other, you know, kids are playing at, you know, from other, you know, ballparks. That's why it's always good. Like you said, Councilman Stagney, this will be a great facelift for all of our gyms and all of our kids that participate. It's just that Wentwood, right now, and Councilman and Ken and I have gone over this for months and months and months. It is the worst gym floor that we currently have in the city, and it just needs to be addressed. And I want to make sure that that the kids out there playing in recreation understand, and that the families understand that they have to endure that, that floor at this time. Understand that it is all part of our faceless process for all of our gyms. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman DeNapolis. On the amendment, please vote. Back to the original legislation.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to amend.
Back to the original legislation. Councilman Stagney, you have the floor.
I'm back. Okay.
Now you can speak on the whole thing.
The whole thing. If anybody would have said 10 years ago that we'd be able to do the changes that we've done on the fields, the playgrounds, and the gyms of this city, they think we were nuts. To your credit, Mr. Maricoli, to the credit of your employees, your staff, and Mr. Michael Gaffney, I say it time and time again, we've had a tremendous update and repair to all of our playgrounds and to all of our gyms. And I think that makes us competitive in so many ways, not only for the children of our city. We just had meetings on the Pontchartrain Center, and I firmly believe that we need to be a city of destination for recreational events for young kids. They're going to come here to play AAU basketball because we have the Pontchartrain Center, we have newly updated gyms. That creates overnight stays for those families to come here, and we derive hotel motel taxes for that. So I think this is great for the children of our city, but it's also going to be a great economic engine once we go further down the line in attracting these other events that come here to our city. So great job. Looking forward to seeing it. I will tell you that my son on 11, 12-year-old basketball team played his entire season at Susan Park, and the gym is beautiful, so aesthetically pleasing. Again, cuts down on the injuries, and I think the All-Star team has been practicing there as well. So great job. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Stagney. Councilman Carroll, you had the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and out to Mr. Maricoli to thank you for, the biggest thing is not settling to be able to go out to different venues, different states, different organizations to see, because if you stay here, we're going to be stagnant. We will never be able to improve. So that alone, it gives us an advantage in the future for other things to come. And there are additional revisions and replacements, not only for the floors of our recreation, but the lights and the playgrounds and everything. So, thanks again for that. The people look forward to all of these changes within the next year or so. And I may have to take Councilman Denopolis' challenge that the Lincoln Manor floor is, I believe is a little bit, it's bad. If you can remember, last year there was a question of the asbestos. So, factor that in, Councilman Denopolis. I think we got you by an inch, I think. But, overall, this is what we need. It's good for everyone, and especially for the children and the parents of the children in the city of Kenner, and outside people coming in. Thank you, Mr. Maricoli.
I think Mr. Denopolis said, "Trust me," when he said that.
I heard that, right. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilwoman DeFrancis, to close.
Thank you, Council President. I won't belabor the points that have already been made, but again, Mr. Maricoli, this is great legislation because it impacts all of our city playgrounds, not just mine or Councilman Denopolis's or Mr. Carroll's or anyone else on this council for that matter, but every one of our children deserve not only an aesthetically pleasing place to playground and gymnasium, but most importantly, a safe one. When we have tiles that are coming up and coming apart, we endanger our children when they play on that type of a gym floor. So to me, it's not just, again, the aesthetics of it, but the safety issue, and our children deserve to be safe, and we need to feel comfortable that they are when they go to one of our Kenner gyms, and I think this will be a great asset to the city of Kenner and to the families that live in Kenner. So again, thank you to you and the administration, Mr. Gaffney, and everybody else involved, because I think this is really positive for our city as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. Hearing no other discussion, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept the contract as complete with Capstone Builders Incorporated for improvements and modifications to the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Resource Center, Kenner Project number 10-021, seal bid number 12-6055 for the Department of Community Development.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilwoman Brannigan. Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance amending Section 9.5-2A and C of the Kenner Code of Ordinances entitled Use of Natural Limestone Rock in Mixing, Manufacturing, and/or Preparation of Natural Limestone Rock Asphalt Prohibited. Item 16B is an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Bow Brothers Construction Company, LLC, to provide bridge maintenance and repair on an as-needed basis in an amount not to exceed $1 million annually for the same terms, conditions, and pricing as those furnished to Jefferson Parish under Jefferson Parish Proposal Number 50-100051 for a period concurrent with the Jefferson Parish contract for the City of Kenner Department of Public Works. Item 16C is an ordinance authorizing repairs to the rotor pump assembly and associated diagnostic testing on Vactor vacuum truck units 2064 in the amount of $9,905 by Vacuum Truck Sales and Service, LLC, and an authorized dealer for the Department of Public Works Division of Drainage. Item 16D is an ordinance accepting the responsive bid from High Tech Electric Incorporated of Delaware, doing business as HTE Contractors, in the total amount of $246,774, including alternates number 1 and number 2 for the Vintage and Medoc Generator Sewer Rehabilitation Project, as per specifications contained in sealed bid number 12-6090 for the Department of Public Works. Item 16E is an ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of Lot WHD into lots WHD1 and WHD2, Hanson City subdivision. Item 16F is an ordinance approving a place of worship in a C2 General Commercial Zoning District to be located on Lot 29A, Square 374, Highway Park Subdivision. Item 16G is an ordinance authorizing a public hearing to approve Amendment Number 2 to the fiscal year 2011 Action Plan for the Department of Community Development. Item 16H is an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Southern Construction of Metairie, LLC, in the amount of $80,880 for the construction of the AP Clay Complex Gazebo and Area Enhancement CEI Project Number 2010-045, sealed bid number 13-6124 for the Department of Community Development. Item 16I is an ordinance accepting the responsive bid from D.L. Daigle and Company, LLC, in the amount of $95,410 for the interior renovations of the second floor of the Old Wentwood Gymnasium, City Project Number 11-53, for the Department of Community Development. Item 17 is reports from the council and/or special committees.
Yes, I think, Mayor, you needed to address the council?
Reports? No.
Misinformation?
It's something I'm going to add. Well, I can add it now.
Just a moment.
Two things. Tamithia was working real hard with David Hegel to make sure we try to get a Kenner meeting. Well, he committed to her that she's going to send him a letter to try to get a Kenner meeting so that our residents don't all have to go to the one in Lafreniere Park. So she's going to work on that. And then the other thing, I didn't know if I'd have the answer, but I did get the answer. They just called me a minute ago. The reason I was late to the meeting tonight is we pitched the 2030 plan for the bond refinancing and the projects to the Jefferson Chamber, and they passed a resolution supporting it because they're on board with us and see what we're doing and know it's the right thing to do.
Well, that's excellent news. Thank you. Councilwoman DeFrancis.
Use my mic.
It's on. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. I have two quick things. First of all, I want to mention the Path to Progress. We recently had a meeting at the Pavilion, and Councilman Reno attended, I attended, and Councilman Giannopoulos, although he was out of town, sent his assistant to represent District 5. Mr. Gonzalez, do you want to mention very quickly what the meeting was about and exactly what was presented to the public?
Okay, this is a meeting that is required by the state DOTD as part of the Path to Progress program to hold meetings throughout the city. The meetings are going to be taking place at the Pavilion, and they're also going to be taking place in the council chambers. There will be 4 meetings. The first meeting was held this week, okay, at 6 p.m. And that meeting was to alert the general public of 2 upcoming projects, and one of them was Vintage Drive between the Duncan Canal and Loyola, and the other one was Loyola between West Esplanade and Vintage. Both of those projects are going to be receiving, removal and replacement of damaged panels, concrete panels, and overlay and brand new striping and reflectorized traffic markers.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. I just thought it was important for people to know that these things are going to be coming up. They can look on our website. We'll provide more information. I'm personally going to send out from my office also, and if I have to hand deliver it myself, a flyer to indicate exactly when the project starts and exactly what it'll entail. So I wanted to thank you for that. I also have one quick announcement that I want to make about the Esplanade Mall, and I think this is very important. Simon last year had 2012 Caring Santa. It was an initiative where thousands of people participated. This year, the Esplanade Mall is going to have Caring Bunny event, which will offer families that have children with special needs and need a subdued environment to participate in the Bunny photo experience on March 10th from 9:30 to 11:30. They will take many steps to make sure they reduce sensory triggers, creating a more comforting environment for children's cherished visit with the bunny. And it talks about all of the ways they're going to address that problem. But I just want to, again, make parents feel very comfortable. Caring Bunny is sponsored locally by AbilityPath.org. and in partnership with the Autism Society of Greater New Orleans. Caring Bunny attendings will have the opportunity also to learn more about autism and connect with other families. Families can either enter the mall through the entrance next to Café du Monde, again, to minimize the negative impact on these children with special needs. In addition, the Easter Bunny will be available for the general public for photos Mondays through Saturday from 11 to 8. And they take a break, but I'll give you all the other information on the website. And on March 16th from 8:30 to 10:30, the Esplanade Mall will host Beignets with the Bunny, featuring fun games and sweet treats courtesy of Café du Monde, and this is free to the public. So if you have children and you want them to come to the Esplanade Mall, this is totally free to the public, and we encourage you to bring your children. And as I said, I think it's wonderful that we're making sure that also our special needs children have an environment that is conducive for them to come to the mall and feel comfortable and participate in many of the things that many times they're not able to, in which to participate. So thank you to the Esplanade Mall for doing that.
Thank you, Councilwoman DeFrancis. Councilman Denopoulos.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Basically, what I want to know is let the public know that next Friday on the 15th, and if, Madam Clerk, you can put that picture up. We're the mayor, the police chief, and the entire council is putting on a fundraiser for Trent Bow Ward, okay? And it's going to be held at the Pavilion next Friday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I'm going to tell you why the city is actually rallying behind this fundraisers, because during the storm, this gentleman was head of security at Walmart for all the Walmart stores here in southern Louisiana, and he purposely opened up the Walmart store so we could fund, so we can actually have supplies for the city during our worst times that we ever had here in Kenner. We needed stuff from Walmart for the shelters that we had at Bonneville and at Bush Dewey Gym. We needed ice chests. The police department went over there and got tons and tons of stuff. So did the fire department, so did the administration. This man literally opened his heart and his doors to us. And just to give you a little caveat, everything that we took out of Walmart was inventoried. And it came out to almost $300,000, okay? And then, the city was going to be on the hook for that $300,000, okay? And what happened was Walmart actually gave us a waiver on that $300,000, okay? And they decided that they were going to handle their own reimbursement from FEMA on that. So this man really, he gave us ice chests, food, canned goods, baby food, hygiene items. I mean, everything to sustain ourselves while we had our worst time here. I don't know, Keith Conley was actually driving one of the dump trucks that was full of stuff from Walmart, okay? We're talking bedding, sheets, clothing, I mean, all the materials that we needed. This man was truly, a hero in Kenner at that time, and he is actually going through a situation in his life where he now needs our help. And this whole city and this whole administration and council is rallying together so that we can help him in his time of need right now. He has stage 3 cancer and is going through a rough time of treatments, and both bone marrow treatments and also other treatments, and he's having a rough time of it, both financially and spiritually. And I can tell you that this would actually be something that's going to boost him and help him keep going, and we wish him all the best of luck. And he will be at the event on Friday, and all these proceeds are going to warning off his hospital bills and his personal situation that he has financially. And there'll be door prizes, there'll be raffles. It's going to be a fish fry. It's on Lenten Friday, so it will be a fish fry. It will cover that venue. So please, I urge all the citizens out there and to remember that the ice that you got, the water that you got, some of the canned foods you got, the clothing that you were receiving through the distribution centers that we had here in Kenner came from this man, from him opening up the Walmart doors and allowing us to take what we need to sustain ourselves after the storm. Thank you. And I know Councilman Reyno may have a few words to say on this as well.
Thank you. Councilman Stagney, you're next in line for the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be supportive as well. And, you know, while we are all supporting Councilman DeNapolis, Councilman Reno, and I got a Facebook message from Mr. Brad Bohannon, really going out of their way to help this man who did so much for our entire city and the citizens of our city. I hope we can be there for him during his time, his difficult time. I saw him earlier, but he's gone. I wanted to congratulate the chief and all the officers and employees of the Kenner Police Department. They've been recognized by the Louisiana Safety Commission as a law enforcement agency responsible for removing the most DWI suspects collectively from the state roads during 2012. In honor of their hard work and dedication of making our roadways safer for the traveling public, an award was presented Tuesday, March 5th, at the Law Enforcement Award Program in Baton Rouge. The awards are designed to recognize the leaders in DWI enforcement's effort to raise awareness of the problem. The Highway Safety Commission works year in and year out to support enforcement and education programs related to DWI and other problem drinking and behaviors. Again, congratulations. This is the third year in a row that our KPD won that award, so that's very nice. We mentioned earlier, I was at the Pass the Progress meeting. It's one of the best grants that this city has ever gotten. $26 million on our major thoroughfares that'll be taking place, I think, all of this year. And while it wasn't in my area, I wanted to try to hear as much as I could. The meeting ended a little early, but I will be at the ones, you know, all of the meeting for the District 2. I wanted to announce that we did some road work in District 2 totaling almost $400,000. And I'm going to say what the streets are. It's Florida between 22nd and 23rd, Florida between 20th and 21st, 21st Street between Williams and Delaware, Connecticut between 22nd and the dead end, 22nd Street between Colorado and the dead end, and Colorado between 22nd Street and 2140 Colorado, 22nd Street between Connecticut and Colorado, Arizona between 34th Street and West Esplanade, and 34th Street between Arkansas and Arizona. And we also took that portion, working with Public Works and the Recreation Department, and increased the size of 34th Street to try to create some playground parking where they wouldn't be intruding on the neighbors. That came to about $400,000. Even with the $26 million we haven't passed the progress, you know, we have to invest more inside the neighborhoods of our city if we're going to up the home values in our city. That's very important. Our streets are in major disrepair, and you know, we're going to need as much as we've gotten, plus a lot more if we're going to repair those streets in our neighborhood. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Stagney. Councilman Reno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to touch a little bit more on what Councilman DeNapolis said about the fundraiser. He came to me, I don't know who Trent Beauward is, and he told me the story, and I said, sounds like something that is worthwhile and we should do, and it's important that somebody that helped our city out in a time of need, that we should help him. And I want you to know that I told him, I said, well, I have to get some recruits, and I did recruit Brad Bohannon, because Brad and I have done many fundraisers along with his wife, Arita, and my wife, Donna, for different, different charities and different people that were in need. And everything for this fundraiser has been donated. We have raffle tickets, they're $5 each. The crew of Excalibur has donated a ride for 2. It includes the pre-parade party, the after-parade party, your costume for the float. Only thing you have to do is just buy, your throws. That'll be a raffle. We also have silent auction items, ranging from signed Saints footballs to jerseys to just all kind of stuff. So it's going to be a great event, and I want to say that I asked the mayor and the police chief if they would, get involved in this, and all of the council members and everybody was going, yeah, this is a good cause. So I want to thank everybody for that. Also, I want to mention as a public announcement that Jefferson Convention and Visitors Bureau has hired Mandela Research to do a needs assessment study for the city of Kenner. And we requested that for Lake Town, but they're doing it, you know, for Lake Town and for Rivertown, but I'm going to talk about Lake Town because that's in my district. But there is an outreach meeting that's going to be held on March 13th at 7 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn, which used to be the Kenner Hotel, and before that it was the Hilton Garden Inn, so they got their flagship back, and that is at 4535 Williams Boulevard. And you can RSVP to the Jefferson Convention and Visitors Bureau at 731-7083. Hopefully we'll get a good attendance from our Kenner residents. And I was actually going to get our councilman in District 1 to do this, and he said, no, you can do it. The Castle Theater is the new comedy club in Kenner. And Gregory Carroll and I, along with many other people, went to the open house. The mayor was there. Kevin Centeni was there. And huge, huge crowd. But I asked them if they could get Jeannie Black up on the stage, you know, for one of their performances. But this weekend they open Friday and Saturday. It starts at 8 o'clock. Jody Borello and Becky Allen are the features, along with James Cusimano and Brown. And, you know, couldn't believe the price of the tickets, $20 to go see a comedy show. I mean, and Jody is from New Orleans, but she also performs in Las Vegas and all. This is going to be, you know, a big plus to Rivertown. So hope to see y'all there. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Reno. And I don't believe that I would even volunteer for something like that because I couldn't hold a patch to those people. So thank you. Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay, Jenny.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate, I had a coughing fit when the mayor was making a statement, and I don't know if everybody really appreciated what he said, because he mentioned the fact that when we talked about the FEMA and the flood maps, there was a meeting that was going to be held at Lafreniere Park on the 20th of March, and he is working with Ms. Shaw, and they are trying to get Kenner's own meeting scheduled for anyone who can't make it there. So I thank you. Kudos to you, Mayor, if you can pull that off. And Mr. Shaw, I think that's very important, that there's many citizens in Kenner who have called me in regards to finding out why their neighbors across the street flood insurance is lower priced than the ones that they have. So this is a great opportunity for people to come out. So you will be keeping us further informed as to when and where the meeting is set up. And I just wanted to make sure that the listening public heard you.
Yeah, I'll go through that, please.
We're requesting, and we hope they'll allow it. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving right along, Council Clerk.
Yes, ma'am. Item 18 is new business. It was taken at an earlier juncture in the meeting. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have item 19A is the reconsideration of ordinance number 10,535, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Taylor Power Systems Incorporated for a 2-year contract for preventative maintenance service for emergency generators for the city of Kenner in an amount not to exceed $100,000 per year as per sealed bid number 12-6117 for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilman Denopoulos, second by Councilman Reno for the reconsideration. We have already added it to the agenda. So
Yes, I'm going to put it to a vote
okay.
for the reconsideration right now.
Okay. So please vote on the reconsideration.
Motion passes 7-0 to put the item on the floor for reconsideration. If I could have a motion and a second.
Motion by Councilman Denopoulos, second by Councilman Reno.
Thank you.
Councilman Denopoulos, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I would like a a one-meeting deferral on this item, considering that there has been a lot of emails going on and there's some issues and some things that I want to research before that have come up with since this meeting, and I would like to, an abundance of caution, to reconsider this item and just put it up for a one-meeting deferral to the council.
Okay. So the motion is for a one-meeting deferral. Motion by Councilman Denopoulos, second by Councilman Reyno. Any other discussion? Councilman Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to ask Mr. Quigley. There's been emails going back and forth, but I sent a memo to the mayor, Mr. Quigley, and Mr. Conley, asking if the bids, the selected vendor, if they abided by all the bid specs and had all the certifications and licenses required by state law. Mr. Quigley, you sent that response back today. Can you either read it or just summarize what you told me?
Unfortunately, I don't have the email with me, but I think I just know that I stated in the email that, oh, you have it? Okay, all right. The email sent to the council stated as this: as of this date, March 7th, 2013, the only correspondence the city has received relative to the award of the bid for the preventive maintenance service for the city generators is the attached letter dated March 1st, 2013 from Mary Ann Sullivan, State Compliance Director. We are in agreement with this letter that a properly licensed electrical contractor would need to be in place to perform this work. This is in accordance with the specifications for the 2-year contract bid for preventive maintenance/service for emergency generators that opened on Tuesday, January 22nd, 2013. The successful bidder, Taylor Power Systems, have provided documentation that they have available a properly licensed electrical contractor in accordance with the bid specifications. I stated this at the City Council meeting of February 21st, 2013. Subsequently, we were notified by a news reporter that an employee of the State Licensing Board for Contractors had provided him information contrary to this letter. We contacted this individual and admitted that he may have misspoke to the reporter, as he never saw the city specifications, nor had the licensing board reviewed this matter or ever made any type of ruling. This morning we met, which is today. This morning we met with the local agent of the State Licensing Board. We provided him the entire copy of the specifications and gave him an explanation of them. Upon his review and comprehension of our specifications, he advised that our bid award was in compliance with all necessary licenses. He subsequently called me, again today, and stated that he talked to a superior in Baton Rouge, and he, the one in Baton Rouge, was also in agreement that our bid award was also in compliance. He further stated that we could expect a follow-up letter confirming this.
And we went in detail at the last meeting to clarify the transportation issue, which was obviously inclusive of the price. It said it in the bid specs. And there may have been some vagueness on the hourly fee that, let's say, an electrician would charge us. And we kind of nailed that down, that could not start until they arrived on the job site. So those were the only two issues that came to most of our attention at that time, and I thought we did a good job of mapping that out in the legislation and making sure there was no loophole. Now, there are some other questions that have come up, but those were answered basically at the last meeting so far as the needing an electrical license. You said a state contractor's electrical license. You said that whoever would be working on that would have that at the time, correctly? I mean, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that would only happen, that the Taylor trailer company would have to have that if it was above $10,000. Wasn't it bid at about $7,500? Most of this is a maintenance contract, is that correct?
Yes, it's a preventive maintenance contract.
I mean, my questions have been answered. I'm going to support my colleague because he wants to research it further. But I want to caution this body that if we're waiting on a state agency to give us an answer on a question that may come written one way from one person, may come written a different way from another body, They may not answer that. My understanding is that board, the State Contractors Board, would not rule on anything until after a signed contract. So I'm gonna support the deferral, but I think most all the questions have been answered, fleshed out, and there was some discussion most of today from people. I mean, if you care to say, didn't you talk to the Contractors Board today, or someone?
Yeah, that's what I said this morning. Actually, yeah, this morning we met with gentleman, the local agent, and, well, Mr. Alamo, the gentleman that came.
He was the
here.
one that spoke to us 3 meetings ago?
Yeah, he came here a couple of meetings ago. He was here this morning, myself, Jose, and the mayor talked to him. We actually gave him the specs because we were told last night, as I said, the gentleman last night told us that he hadn't even seen the specs. So we gave Mr. Alamo the complete set of the specifications, and Jose elaborated on the specifications. So he said that he understood it. He said he's been there 25 years, and his opinion was that we were correct. And then he later on, he called me early in that morning and told me that his boss in Baton Rouge said the same thing. I asked him if they could send us a letter, but we haven't received a letter yet.
Okay.
And let me just make another, before the meeting, there was some talk about whether they had insurance. If you'd like to look on 15B, I mean, just as an example, on 15B, where it has the front-end document, it says insurance certificates. On number 12, it says insurance certificates, subject to legislative approval upon notification to the vendor as the parent low bidder, the vendor shall commence securing all necessary insurance and bonds, if any is required in the bid specifications. The notification by the City of Kenner shall not constitute acceptance of the bid. Only the issuance of a purchase order or a signed contract constitutes acceptance on the part of the City of Kenner. So they don't have to give us the contract until we notify them that there's been legislative approval, and then we're on.
You mean the insurance? They don't have to show you proof?
So no, we were asked about the insurance.
And that's pretty standard on what we've done.
But that's what I'm saying, it's done tonight. I mean, that's done in every bid we do. I mean, that's the requirement. And then there was also a question of whether they had the occupational license, and I'm in possession of their occupational license right now. So if those were the questions that you were asked, that wanted to be answered, I mean, they answered. I mean,
And I had one other question. I provided the city attorney with a state statute that was provided to me. I provided that, and you gave me a response because it had to do with state electrical license. Do you have a copy of that email, Mr. Conley? All right.
I have, yeah. I mean, I've got a copy.
You see that old stuff about carrying paper around still works. But here's your response, just so I get it on the record. It says, I'm familiar with the statute. Any repair of the nature that this legislation is intended to control is beyond the scope of this contract and would be bid regardless. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I will support Mr. DeNapolis's deferral to gather some more information. I don't know if that state agency, if we sent a question to them, would answer it, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stagney. I'm firmly convinced that we did the proper thing at the last council meeting because based on the information that we received. However, when a colleague of mine feels that it needs to be delved into a little bit more scrutiny, I'm certainly not going to deny him that opportunity to do that. So I will be supporting the deferral tonight based on that position. Councilman Reyno, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and you basically said exactly what I was getting ready to say. So, you know, I will be supporting it as well. You know, we all have to make decisions up here, and we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to, you know, to go through everything and ask the tough questions and make sure that the answers are there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeFrancis, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. Again, we try to support each other when we can with deferrals because deferrals really have to do with making sure that everyone has the necessary information in order to make the best decision possible when they vote. However, I do have some qualms, even though I will be supporting it. And it has to do with the fact that there were questions raised this past week especially. I made sure that I went to all the people that could answer those questions. I spoke to Mr. Conley, and sat down with him for quite a while, and I appreciate the time he spent with me in his office because we went over every possible question, and he answered them, and I felt very comfortable with his answers. I then had another meeting with Mr. Gonzalez again today to make sure I had all my answers ahead of time. I had no reservations about exactly whether we were following the specifications and following the law. I then even talked to Mr. Quigley earlier as well. So all the questions that had been brought to us were answered as far as I was concerned. And I made sure I got those answers before I took time to come to this meeting and ask for a deferral. But again, I do believe in supporting one another when it comes to that particular issue. I do have one other small problem, and that is that we have spent so much additional time on this issue that when Mr. Gonzalez and I spoke, he made a big point of telling me that he did everything in his power to make sure he got the best deal for the citizens of Kenner and saved as much money as he could for the people of Kenner. And then when on one hand you save money to make sure that we spend all our dollars wisely on behalf of the people we represent, then we have the other side when we're wasting city resources on rehashing and rehashing and rehashing issues that have already been addressed. And I have no problem when there are legitimate questions that are brought to the surface. I have no problem in simply going to someone and asking for information. But I do not believe in wasting city resources over and over and over again. We need to make sure that every penny we spend in this city is spent wisely and we get the biggest bang for our buck, as the expression goes. And so that's why I have this qualm about this. But nevertheless, if someone has a viable question or still has concerns, I think we have to make sure that we support that person and those questions are answered. But I think in the future, and I'm sorry, I hope I don't offend anyone, and I really don't mean to, but I think in the future we need to be proactive. And if a question arises before the next council meeting, for example, and we're not sure exactly what the answer is, to make sure we get those answers before the council meeting, before we have to go through this process another time where we bring things up for reconsideration, perhaps unnecessarily. So again, I am supporting you, and I want you to know that, but I think we have to be conscious in the future to make sure that we do what needs to be done prior to these situations continuing to take over and wasting more city resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman DeFrancis. Councilman Denopoulos, you're next up on the queue, but I know you wish to close, and Councilman Carroll would like to speak. So would you remove your queue, please? Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And not to be redundant, most of our colleagues have mentioned and said some of the same things that I was going to say. And I, too, will be supporting Councilman Denopoulos. And I appreciate Councilwoman DeFrancis's opinion about not wasting. But I am of the opinion that we never waste anything when we take the due diligence to be able to look into something. Now, obviously this is for emergency generators. This is the month of March. If this was closer to June or the hurricane season, I would have a different opinion about that because obviously we don't want to get caught with our pants down. But this is March. I am comfortable with most of the information, but I respect my colleagues' opinion about certain things that I may be missing. And I would appreciate it if I missed it this time, the next time that maybe I would be supported in the same instance. But when we take the time, sometimes some people may believe we're going overboard, but I believe most people will appreciate the time that we take for this. I will be supporting him. And hopefully by the next meeting, any questions that we may have will be ironed out. Thank you, Madam President.
Before Councilman Denopoulos closes, Mr. Morello, did you wish to address the council?
I'll wait till 20.
Okay.
To item 20.
Okay.
First up. That's why I'm standing up.
Councilman Denopoulos, put your light on. You have the floor.
Let me tell you, I absolutely, want to tell you that Mr. Gonzalez has done a good job, okay, and his administration has done a good job. On Monday, I did have some talk with the administration. And Monday, it seemed as if everything was settled, okay? And then, of course, in the past 3 days, even the administration, as of this morning, was meeting on issues on this thing. And I was not involved in those meetings, so I don't know what was privy to those meetings as well. But I also have some other concerns because, you know, there is a potential for this bid to exceed $50,000. There is a potential for this bid to exceed $7,500 in electrical. I'd like to see what the history of the last 2 years have been on this contract, and then if I could see that tomorrow or Monday to see what the potential is, because if the electrical does go over $10,000, then we're in violation of the bid. And then if it goes over $15,000 and this bid had a requirement that it should have had initially. So what I want to see is a 2-year history, you know, of what we have spent on this particular contract, okay? And at that point, you know, I would like to see that information, analyze that information, and then at that point report to the council, and I appreciate their support of me on this, that I do want to delve a little more into, you know, that kind of documentation so I can have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Denopoulos, Mr. Quigley has his light on. Would you give him, do you object to him having the floor after you closed? Yeah, Mr. Quigley, you have the floor. Would you like to set the scene before you bring it up?
Well, I'm technologically challenged. Victor was sitting next to me before, but he left. But anyway, we asked Victor for the same information, and unfortunately, I can't get it off of my BlackBerry. But in both years, it was in 12 and 11, it was around $38,000 or less. So it never exceeded $40,000 the last 2 years. But unfortunately, I don't have it. I don't have the printout of it, but I did see it tonight, and I have it here, but I just can't read it. But anyway,
I think
it was undoubtedly under $40,000.
Okay, I think the problem is the cap is 100,000, so that's the difference. But you're saying that you think that in previous years it hasn't gone over 40,000.
That's the information that Victor gave me tonight. And again, Victor was sitting here before, and he left and
Well,
emailed.
you will have this opportunity to speak on this again when it comes up for final approval. So hearing no other discussions, we're voting on is it 2 meeting or 1 meeting, a 2-week deferral? 1 meeting deferral.
1 meeting deferral.
Please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 for 1 meeting deferral. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Yes, we have Mr. Al Morello.
Al Morello, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 41 years. I want to comment on what we just discussed. It's 19A this meeting. Last meeting it was 15I. I want to remind the council and the administration that Citizen Jack Ziwi approached this council and his administration with the information in his hand. Councilman Denopoulos, you stated you was uncomfortable with the thing, but you went along with the vote anyway. 7-0 up here. So now let me just say this to you all: you don't listen to the public that you was elected to serve. The man had the information in his hand that these people didn't have the proper license. Now you get the information, you get the opinion from the state licensing board. And by the way, the statute is LARS 37-2150-2192. That's the statute. And it says $10,000, more than $10,000, $10,000 or more. That's what the statute says. The man had the information in his hand. I suggested to this council that we defer it. No, y'all had to just go right ahead on and ignore the public that you elected to serve altogether. Now, moving on to the next topic here. I would like the mayor to explain to the people in this chamber and whoever watches this replay explain to us about the construction taking place down there on Horseshoe Road and Coconut Beach Road. And I would like Councilwoman DeFranchise, when the mayor explains what this construction is, I would like to hear from you. Beachview Heights, I take it, is your district, is it not? District 3 is Beachview. I'm sorry, I'll address this to you, Keith Raynor, then. I would like to hear from you as to what input the people in Beachview Heights had in this construction. Now, I want to address these two gentlemen in here from the media. The police department says that they are submitting police reports to the media. Time-Picayune, I'm not too sure about the Advocate, but we are not getting the information on the police reports, what's going on in the city of Kenner, in your newspaper. Now, we're getting some reports. We're not getting everything. Now, either you all are not doing your research, or you're being selective in what reports you put in the paper. Now, we want to see, as citizens of this city, man, we have a right to know what's going on in our town, what kind of crimes is being perpetrated in what neighborhoods. Now, you are official journal. We want to see this. Okay. I don't care how they operate, Keith Conley. No, I don't operate that way. We have a right to know what's going on in our city, man. You're the official city journal, and we want that information. Now, anybody got any comments, any questions? I'd like to hear from the mayor about this construction going on down there on Horseshoe Road and Coconut Beach, and I'd like to hear from you, Keith Raynor, as to what kind of input you got from the citizens at Beachview Heights. I'll stay in here. How much time I got left, Jeannie?
You have 1 minute.
Let them go ahead on and respond. I'll stand right here.
I'll stop it. Mr. Rayno. Why don't I tell you what, why don't I let him finish, and then he can, because this way, it's really against the council rule.
Okay, that's okay. I got 1 minute left. I do have one more topic.
You have 1 minute and 20.
Okay, first of all, I would like to commend Michael Teachworth, the gentleman who fought tenaciously to get those bridge tolls, to get that election overturned. Him and his group, Citizens Against the Tolls. And I want to say this. I'm grateful that it was overturned, and I'm really ecstatic about it. But I think that they need to go a little step further and find out who was behind those provisional ballots that was handed to them people who went to the polls and was denied their right to vote. And I think we need to get the state attorney general in on this thing, or an investigation, and the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Thank you, Mr. Morello. Mr. Rayno, did you wish to speak? You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. As far as answering a question about construction, the city of Kenner has a code department, has a planning department. So any construction that you see anywhere in the city of Kenner has been approved by those departments prior to the construction. So if you have a question, I'm sure these people, all you have to do is pick up the phone and say, I have such and such a question, and I'm sure you'll get that information. So I don't know what specifically you wanted to ask me on that construction, but I would refer you to those departments, and they'll answer your questions. And thank you so much for your comments.
Okay. Next up is Mr. Larry Daigle.
Larry Daigle.
His light is not on, so I guess not.
Larry Daigle, 4128 Tulane Drive in Kenner. Mr. Mayor, we want to congratulate you and your wife. And Mr. Rayno, great job, man. KTV needed all the help they can get because they go nationwide. We need all the help we can get in Kenner. And Mr. Mayor, you and your people sitting in the audience, all your administration, people that cut grass, dig ditches, doing a great job. It wouldn't be for them, City of Kenner wouldn't be what it is. Just look at the pictures on the walls. All these people that come through the City of Kenner, that's what it's made. But anyway, I come tonight because, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, this group they call Citizens for a Better Kenner, Better Kenner, why do they come up here and put y'all down if they're Citizens for a Better Kenner? Citizens for a Better Kenner to me is, y'all doing a great job. We appreciate what y'all do for the city. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day. But they come up here and put y'all down. I don't understand what the deal is. They ought to change their name to Citizens to our Worst Kennel. That's my opinion. And if anybody got any questions or anybody want to challenge me on it, that's a good deal. I'll go for it. And Mr. Stagney, don't believe everything you hear. Y'all have a good night.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Daigle. Unfortunately, you're only good for the last thing you did. So, and as elected officials, we're all up to scrutiny. And if you like us, we're wonderful. If you don't like us, we're awful. So I guess you can, as Abe Lincoln said, you can please some of the people some of the time. You can please some of the people all the time, but you can't please all of the. Did I say that wrong? Well, it comes down to where you can't please all of the people all of the time. You can please. Let me get this straight. You can. Excuse me. Would you repeat that? I didn't get that. What did you say, Mr. Denopoulos? I want to hear it again. Mr. Denopoulos, 2014 is coming around real quick. No, I did not know Abe Lincoln, but I've done a lot of reading up on him. And Alan, you tell me about, don't talk about my longevity up here, but you see how they bait me, huh? So I'll reserve my comments and my foot for after the meeting. If we have not had any more discussion, I have a motion to adjourn.